All right, today we're going to dive into a story from the Gospel of Luke that packs a real punch. It's got two major warnings that, at first glance, seem like they have nothing to do with each other. But as we're about to see, they are connected in this really deep and, honestly, fascinating way. So let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. We're in Jerusalem, not just anywhere in Jerusalem, but right inside the Grand Temple complex. This place is the absolute center of Jewish life. It's bustling, it's chaotic, it's beautiful, a place of incredible spiritual power. And right in the middle of all that activity, Jesus is teaching.
And this brings us right to the big question, the mystery at the heart of this whole explainer. What on earth could two tiny, almost worthless little coins possibly have in common with one of the most magnificent, massive buildings in the entire ancient world? Believe it or not, the answer to that is the key to everything.
So the first warning doesn't start with a thunderclap or a big speech. It actually starts with something really quiet. Jesus is just people watching, you know? He's observing as they come to make their offerings at the temple treasury. And what he sees is this incredible contrast. On the one hand, you've got these wealthy people making a big show of dropping in huge sums of money. They're giving, as Dr. Daniel Darko puts it, out of their abundance. It's no skin off their back. But then a poor widow comes along, and she puts in two tiny copper coins. I mean, basically nothing. To anyone else, her gift would be invisible, completely insignificant. But Jesus says, hold on, she just put in more than all of them. Why? Because she gave everything, literally all she had to live on. So this gets at a really crucial idea we could call proportional generosity. I mean, think about it. If a billionaire gives $1,000, that's like you or me dropping a quarter. It's a fraction of their wealth. But for this widow, her tiny little donation, that was 100%. In proportion to what she had, her sacrifice was just infinitely greater. And that just nails the first big lesson. As Dr. Darko explains, it's never about the actual dollar amount. The first warning is all about our internal state. It's the why behind what we do. The motive, the attitude, that's what matters. It's about a total, all-in, heartfelt devotion. Okay, so we're soaking in this really personal lesson about giving, and then bam, the story takes this incredibly sharp turn. The disciples start pointing out how beautiful the temple is, and their admiration triggers the second warning, one that is way, way more dramatic.
And you can't blame them for being impressed. Herod's temple was an absolute marvel. I mean, to put it in perspective, we're talking about a structure covering the same area as about 9 American football fields. It was decorated with gorgeous stones, covered in gold. It was the pride of the entire nation.
So they're all looking at this magnificent building, just filled with awe. And imagine their shock when Jesus turns to them and says this. He predicts total and complete annihilation. He's not saying it's going to be damaged. He's saying it's going to be leveled, not one stone left on another.
And here's the thing. This wasn't some vague, someday in the distant future kind of prophecy. Within a single generation, in the year 70 AD to be exact, the Roman army marched in, destroyed Jerusalem, and did precisely what Jesus said they would. For the people reading Luke's gospel after this happened, this would have been a stunning confirmation of Jesus' authority. But the warning didn't stop there with the temple. That was just the beginning. Jesus kind of zooms out and starts describing a future just filled with chaos and turmoil, listing all these signs that would come before the end. And the picture he paints is, well, it's pretty chilling. He talks about chaos on a global scale, wars, earthquakes, famines, plagues. Then he says it'll get intensely personal, persecution, betrayal by your own family, and on top of all that, terrifying signs in the heavens. It really is a vision of a world just completely coming apart at the seams. But here's another twist. Right in the middle of all this doom and gloom, Jesus says something totally unexpected. He says this awful period of suffering is actually going to be an opportunity for his followers to bear witness. It's a moment not for panic, but for purpose. So if freaking out isn't the answer, then what is? This is where Jesus shifts gears. He goes from telling them what is going to happen to explaining how they should get their hearts and minds ready for it. And he gives them this really clear 3-step guide. First, be watchful. Basically, don't get distracted and weighed down by everyday anxieties or just partying too much. Second, stay awake. And he means spiritually awake, alert. And third, pray for strength to get through it all. It's a call to be actively ready, not to just sit back and wait for things to happen. Now, he says this famous line that this generation will not pass away until all these things take place, and people have been debating what that means for 2,000 years. Did he mean the people alive right then, the Jewish people throughout history, or some final generation way in the future? Well, while it's interesting to think about, Dr. Darko points out that maybe trying to crack the timeline isn't really the point. The real focus is on the call to be ready, right now.
So let's bring this all home. What does this ancient story mean for us today? How do we connect these two warnings that seem so different, one about a poor widow's offering and the other about the end of the world?
And here it is. This is where it all clicks together so beautifully. The two warnings are two sides of the same coin. The way you prepare for the huge, external world-shaking events is by focusing on the quiet, internal, all-in devotion that the widow showed. Being ready for the end times starts with the posture of your heart today.
Dr. Darko really drives this home with this thought. He says the whole point isn't about trying to predict dates on a calendar. It's about your posture, right now. It's about living with this constant sense of readiness, knowing that the end, whether it's the end of your own life or the end of the world, could happen at any moment.
And that leaves us with the one question that really matters, doesn't it? The question that this ancient text is still asking each of us. It's not about what you own or how impressive the world around you is. It's all about the state of your heart. So, are you ready?